It's starting, and we're going.
Cool. Still shows off air for me, so
It's live. Just go
all
for
right.
it.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Learn by Teaching. My name is Ankur Patel, and this is Shaan Shah, and we're your hosts again for the second episode.
The same people are back.
The same people. It's amazing. So this episode is a little different than what we did the last time. And to open things up, I'm gonna give the floor back to Shaan and see what Shaan's got to teach us in 10 minutes. Go.
Why is this different? I don't get it. Because I'm starting?
No, because last time I was teaching people how to wrap, fold clothes.
Oh, and now you're
and now I'm teaching them something completely different.
Got it.
We can redo it. You can redo it.
No. I was genuinely asking why is it different this time. Yeah, all right, so I'm going to be talking about journaling, and your topic is about asking questions to learn about companies. So I'll kick it off. I thought I'd talk about journaling because I feel like there's a lot of people are in the position of like they know that they should, but they don't really journal. And I, over the past 6 months, have become an avid journaler, and I found it very rewarding for like just not feeling stressed. I don't think of myself as a stressed person, but it's like at another level of no stress. It's increased my stress-free lifestyle in a way that I have a lot of thoughts in my mind of things I want to do, but because I journal it, it's great. And then also, there could be situations that are like somewhat frustrating, like how someone may have treated me, or how I look at a situation, or like how society reacts to certain things. Like we were laughing about just like little things. It's just a nice thing to like let out your thoughts. And so I find it great. Like the thing I'm laughing about is we were talking yesterday how on Facebook my friend Harsh posted something about cookies, and that had like 96 likes, and someone like finished like law school and they got like 56 likes. And it's just like a fun thing to like, oh man, like just the fact that I'm like, man, that'd be a really funny blog post to write. And that stress of like thinking about the blog post was mitigated because I wrote down that funny idea, and it just kind of like went away. And also like similarly, like, man, that was really nice that someone let me stay at their house. I should email them. And it stresses me out that I need to do it, but the fact that I can write in the journal and come back to it is a way that my stress kind of decreases because I note down the things I want to do. And I mean, it's been said, like Ben Franklin, for example, I was just looking up other people that have inspired me, and I was thinking about journaling. That's the first thing he does when he wakes up. He writes down what good things he shall do today is like the first thing in his schedule. So how to do it? I think it's very straightforward. I'm going to keep it simple. I wanted to give a lot of reasoning behind it, but I think there's two things. So one, find a platform that's very simple. So you can use a Notes app in your computer, or you can use, Evernote on your phone and computer, Notes app on your phone and computer, or just like a simple journal, piece of paper and pen. And the structure that I use, the second part is making the structure very simple. So the structure that I use has two components. One, I just set the date. I just write down, the day. So today is, I think, Tuesday, December 15, 2015. And then I just start writing. So the first thing is the date. The second thing is I simply write, I want to. So it could be like, I want to help other people be more active. I want to send an email to Ankur to schedule the Learn by Teaching thing. I want to be more grateful about my day-to-day. And so like by simply just saying I want to allows me to like almost set a priority for myself of like the things I want to do. So I think number one, like a simple application to do it. And a lot of people have a concern about the security of someone seeing their journal. Like let's say it's like I want to make a move on a girl or something. It's kind of like private. Like, oh God, it's like weird to share that. But Evernote and the Notes app have more privacy security than some banks do in terms of their like getting breached, because people don't have a motive to breach notes as often as a bank, so it's actually more secure than some banks. So to mitigate that risk, like it's not the craziest thing to write your notes down. Like people aren't paying millions to hunt for it. And so first thing is just find a simple way to write things down, whether it's paper or some app. And the second thing is structure, and in the structure it's the date and I want to. And I don't know, try it once a week, try it once a day. Don't and do it for like 2 minutes. Just like write like 2 things you want to do, or and see how it goes.
Sean, that's really cool. I haven't been journaling as of late, but I journaled consistently for 3 months, and I like that you have structure on it. The way I've seen other people do it too, like if you're a fan of like not having as much structure, is just vomit out the words that are in your head. So if there's feelings, if you don't feel as great or you're worried about it, just like throw it out there. Because one of the things that I'd heard Tim Ferriss talks about is podcast and journaling, which we'll have in the link below after this talk. But
Nice.
Tim Ferriss talks about journaling, and one of the things he says is that journaling is a way to sort of like take out all those clustered thoughts in your mind so you can approach your day with more clarity. And I think the way you described it is exactly what that is, right? A lot of the times when I don't journal, like right now as I'm not journaling, I have all these thoughts that tend to slow me down in my day-to-day process. But on the days that I have journaled, everything's already clear and organized in my mind, so I can see my day more clearly.
Yeah, no, I also want to clarify. No, I agree completely. I also want to clarify the reason I shared that I want to is that's something I typically always do. But I also like what you're saying about Tim Ferriss, which is just like, what is on your mind? I just think I want to is a very straightforward way to start, not the kind of like definitive structure.
Yeah.
You know, it's just an idea of how to get going. But yeah, dude, my mind is like, I feel a lot more present. So when I'm working out, like I'm only thinking about that exercise, and I'm like my balance. And then if I'm writing an email for like Maker Square my work, I'm like only thinking about that.
Yep.
And I find myself more effective at each task because I don't have like, man, I need to do that. Man, I need to do that. Like, man, I'm so annoyed by this person. Man, I'm frustrated that I didn't accomplish this. I like wrote it all down. So I'm like, oh, I can like take that cognitive load that's filling up and just like offload.
So when you journal, let's talk like very quickly about your morning routine. Do you journal like while you're eating your breakfast? Do you journal before you eat your breakfast? Do you journal before you, like as soon as you get out of bed? When do you journal, and when do you find it helps you the most?
I often journal in the morning consistently. So when I wake up, when I'm laying there still, I try to avoid checking my email and whatnot, but I always kind of do a quick look. But I often do it right when I wake up, and then after I shower, I like always have these like, it's the one time where it's like no one typically disturbs me, and I have thought that like kind of just flows. And then when I get out, I'm like, that's what I care about. Like, I really want to execute on this, or I really want to, like, X. But I actually now journal all the time because I do, like, voice to text on Evernote. So when I'm walking and someone told me something that I'm like, it's a good way for me not to think about something that comes up. I just, like, offload. Yeah. And for me, the process of writing takes it and just, like, comes in, removes, and stores, like one database, other database, and just like stores it off of me.
Got it. Okay. Cool, man. Well, thanks for sharing that. And again, we'll have more links about journaling below the video, so check that out.
For sure. I'm going to write a blog on it that I will post on there as well.
Awesome. Well, cool. I guess I'll hand it back to myself.
Andy, hand it back.
Back to you, Ankur. Yeah, so thanks, Sean. So I'm here in my bedroom, and I want to talk about something that I think impacts everybody. And it has nothing to do with this. Essentially, it's about asking effective questions. And where I found this technique the most useful is asking these questions when you're trying to learn about somebody's job, when you're at a job interview and you're trying to learn more about a role, or you just want to learn about a company. The question set and the framework that I'm about to talk about helps you deconstruct what that role, what that person, what that company is about, so you know how to guide the conversation going forward. You know, a lot of the times I've seen people ask very super generic questions about, let's say you're done with an interview. People ask very generic questions about the role and the job without really getting the whole framework of what that role is about and where they can add value. So here's how
I also wanted to add, when you told me about this topic, I think it was cool not only for the job interview, but also like a lot of us meet new people, and like a common question is, what is your name? What do you do? And like that question can kind of it's kind of like saying, how are you? And you almost don't even care about the answer. I feel like having a framework to ask people about their job kind of makes it a little bit more intriguing. So
I completely agree. Yeah.
just in general life.
And so just real quick, the way I ask people what they do, I really actually get annoyed when people ask me what I do as the first question, because it very loosely describes who I am and what I'm about. And so one of the questions I like to ask people is, when people ask you what you do, how do you like to say who you are and what you do?
You're asking me, or you're?
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, that's the
rhetorical
question that I ask, right? So then people, I want to see how people define themselves. Maybe it's not by their job. So the way that this works is it's essentially 4 parts. And I'm going to stick to one scenario, and then we can extrapolate it to others. So let's say the scenario right now is I'm at a job interview, and I've just gotten to the part where they're like, all right, well, we're opening up the floor to you. What questions do you have for us? So the first thing I like to ask about is success. And success could be in any form. What does success look like for the company? What does a successful candidate look, in this role look like? I try to keep it as high level as possible and then drill down to the specifics. So the first question I ask, let's say I'm talking to somebody that's the director of product at a certain company I'm interviewing for, I ask them, hey, if we sat down a year from now and I asked you what you've had the most successful year, what does success look like for you for the next year, right? And what would you tell me a year from now? And I leave the floor open to them, because that will immediately highlight where they're trying to go. It will help you understand what your role is going to entail in being part of that success. And it starts off the conversation at a high level where you can sort of drill down into any of the points that you see them talking about. So that's the first stage I ask them, is like, okay, what does success look like for you? Another interesting way of asking that question is asking, what does success look like for you, and what does success look like for the company? Maybe they're in a very segmented team in marketing. It's very different to the success of the company. So that way you can relate the success of the team to the success of the company. Now, the second thing I ask about is, what are the challenges that your team is facing right now? So in order to enable that success, what are the challenges you need to go through? And that'll help you understand all the friction they have between the time that you're talking to them and the time that they're going to be successful. So now you start to understand all the challenges that they have, and in the back of your mind, you're able to think about how you could address each of those challenges. That makes a very interesting conversation and makes you look like a better candidate, because you're showing where you can directly be of value on their road to success. The third thing I ask about is people. So who are the people that they have on their team right now, and who's tackling what? So that'll again give you better clarity into what parts are being dealt with effectively and where they need help. And the fourth part is where you come in and take over, what needs to be done. And in that 4-step process, I'll just quickly highlight it again. It is asking what success looks like, asking what the current challenges are, then asking about the current people and operations that they currently have in place to address those challenges. And then the fourth is highlighting where you can add value. And of course, in a job interview, that is essentially the format. But even if you're in a conversation with somebody informally about their role, that fourth section, you can sort of give them ideas and insights and maybe things they haven't thought about, because you know what success looks like for them in their job. You know what challenges they have, and then you can give them ideas. And I find when people use this framework on me, I'm way more interested in conversation with them, because they're really diving deep into what I'm about. Whether that's a work-related challenge or a personal-related success factor, I'm really able to get people are able to get down much deeper into what somebody's about, and that's why I think this questioning framework is great for that kind of thing.
That's awesome. I think that's awesome. I really like it. I think these questions are probably questions we've all asked people sporadically with no structure. I like it a lot, because I always think about the reason I'm not concerned about financial stability going forward as an entrepreneur is that I think I focus on how to help people, and if you can help people, you can charge for it, so then financially you'll be fine. And I think this framework is like amazing for that. So like if you're asking a company, let's say people, organizations, or a person, let's take your example, take it to a person, like, hey, like, what are you hoping to accomplish next year, especially with the New Year's, like for Christmas time? Like, oh, what are you trying to do next year? And like, oh, I'm trying to like lose weight and trying to get into yoga. And then the next question is like, oh, like, how's that going? And they'll be like, oh, I'm really good at working out, but like, yoga's new for me. I don't know where to go, right? And then your third is like, what do you who do you have around you? Like, do any of your friends do yoga? You know, whatever. That's really cool. I don't know. I just imagine that being used in a personal setting.
Yep.
And it's just like an intriguing way to engage with people.
Yep. And just to give credit to, I didn't come up with this framework. One of my mentors is an MBA professor at UCLA. And we had this conversation while I was going through the job hunt, and it really helped me out. So the last 4 or 5 months while I've been job hunting, this framework has really helped me get to understand what a company and what people are really about. So
that's awesome. And you've been pretty effective at, I feel like, interviewing and helping other people with, I know I introduced you to David, my friend, and he was really appreciative of your help. So you're saying this with your own experience and others' experience, which is great. Yeah, a question I like asking is, if you're free on a Saturday, what do you like to do? And then a lot of people are like, like I typically do laundry. I'm like, no. I'm not saying have stuff you have to do. I'm saying you're on vacation, you're free. And they're like, oh, I've never thought about that question. And then you hear like, I want to go to the beach. I like to go go to brunch. You know, I like to go play sports, whatever. And then you kind of get into hobbies, which is interesting.
Yep. So. A couple of cool, interesting questions along with that is like, what did you want to do when you were a child?
That one's fun,
right? Because then, I mean, if they're open to it, right? If people are self-aware enough, you'll be able to get into, okay, what are the obstacles that got you to stray away from that initial goal of wanting to become an astronaut? A lot of us have these childhood dreams that we don't end up accomplishing, but I think that's for a different episode, so we will save it for that.
All right, sounds good. So in summary, I was talking about journaling. Just simply, the value is just like, you become more self-aware and stress-free, and I think yours was, in summary, is asking questions to learn more about a company, which we've discussed, learn more about people, organizations, anything. So
yeah, I think I'd like to call it the success framework, right?
Success framework, cool.
But yeah, so that's all from all sides. Sean, you want to add anything else?
No, I think we should make it a goal for us to write a blog post on each of these topics and put it on below. So let's do that.
I think that's a great idea. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to Learn by Teaching. Again, my name's Ankur, and that's Sean's over there, and we're going to be back
in the glasses
for episode 3, which is going to come up probably
from
Thailand.
Hopefully,
there we go.
Hopefully, we can make it happen.
If we can make that happen, that'd be amazing.
All right,
episode 3 is hopefully going to come from Thailand. So, thanks, guys. I will talk to you soon.